99.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning to you, Lagos. Welcome to Dailies today. That's right. I'm Sheriff Quadri.
I left to me. I'll be on strike. I don't know
Kilo
how
day,
this happened.
what is it?
Yesterday, everybody was saying that Babati Dagba. How did it go past me? That yesterday was your birthday. You wore the same color with me. We did that Trebi and everything. I didn't have any clue. Anyway, happy birthday in arrears.
Thank you, sir.
No wonder you was with new attire. We
No
were
wonder.
done with get us and conquer. We were starched.
No wonder.
We were smelling different with cap.
Shit.
I said it was but the judgments will take place.
It has to.
It has to take place.
Yes, it has to.
Happy birthday, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
And thank you to everybody that reached out.
Yes, it was. And all of those who felt like taking a dig at me, I woke Babu did that one on here. Okay.
Lagos, you can watch the show on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can watch the show on Facebook and on YouTube. Shall we begin? The Punch is our first story coming out of opposition cautions against diversion of 4 billion naira household bailouts.
This is going to end up in a fraudulent exercise. I'm almost thinking that this is set up to satisfy the boys. You can't, this idea of throwing cash at everything. I understand the students of Ife and Ahmadu Bello University rejected gifts of rice and so on and so forth and said to the government that we can't be throwing cash at things. You know, the opposition parties have urged the federal government to be transparent in the disbursement of 4 billion. They will not be transparent. Which antecedents are we going to go by? This is a 4 billion naira that's going to end up mostly in the pockets of people the children have been in the very first place. The parties also want that the funds to be distributed funds could be distributed among members of the ruling party. That is what is going to happen. The ruling party, the APC, will supervise it either directly or indirectly. That is my prediction. And they say that similar as to what was allegedly done with many of the palliatives released by the government. This palliative exercise, to my mind, is extremely fraudulent. To my mind, I need to be convinced that it's not fraudulent. And I don't know why we keep doing it. We don't have a standard system. We don't have standard records that tells us that, you see, if you, for example, when you want to give palliatives in the Western world or developed economies, many of those people in concern have already on benefits anyway. So it's just adding to their benefits. But this particular exercise where you go around quote and unquote looking for vulnerable families. Who is not vulnerable? Who is not vulnerable? The palliatives that, at least to the best of my mind, that were distributed in Lagos, most of them went to privileged persons in multiples. And right from the time of Buhari, it's turned out to be a fraudulent exercise or an exercise that is fraught with fraudulence. I don't know why we do this, but like I said, one thing that I find very, very worrying with the Bola Tinubu government is that once their mind is fixed on something, they will get it done. They'll pretend as if, we've heard, but they'll find another way around it. Anybody with a little iota of honesty will know that this palliative, whatever it is, cannot work. It cannot work. But good luck to Nigeria. They says that the announcement was made during the launch of the 2025 Nigerian Humanitarian Needs and Response Plan. You remember the last minister who handled this exercise? We don't know what has happened. She was removed and a new minister is in place. It says the initiative is expected to assist at least 10 million displaced households with a focus on those in the Northeast. The cash transfer program will begin in February and run until April, aiming to address the immediate needs of families impacted by displacement. The announcement says that the president has approved the plan to begin paying conditional transfers to 10 million displaced households between February and April. This initiative aims to support those most in need. Who is not most in need? Sheriff, are you not most in need?
Mo fail. Mo fail.
Who is not most in need? What we should do is we should find a way to subsidize food, the various expenses that are killing people, find a way around it. Not throwing cash at everything. And I will tell you what, for free though, once it becomes common knowledge that free cash transfer is going in certain areas, inflation is going to go up in those areas. It's just natural. But it never really does get to them, do you? Does it? No. I'm not going to bother myself to read more of this. We know the country we live in. We know we don't have the wherewithal to do these things thoroughly. Yet, for me, it's an open door for corruption. Well, what hasn't been corrupted? Maybe that's the question you should ask yourself. What in Nigeria hasn't been corrupted? Very soon now, before the budget exercise ends, you'll be hearing of padding and same thing in and out, same thing in and out. And same thing we have. What is corruption? Corruption is not stealing money. When you favor certain people for your own, when you favor certain people for your own benefits or for your own safety, when you favor certain sectors, it's corruption. You've taken care of the judiciary, you've taken care of the military. All of us know that this favors the political class. What about the others? What about the hospitals? It's corruption. I bet today on Friday, Sheriff, I hope there's nothing more like this.
There is. There is. Let's talk about this one first. Still the Punch, page 16 this time. It's the editorial page. Restore electricity to UCH now.
Look at that. This is disgraceful. If you don't know, let me tell you now. If you don't know, all of you know UCH. Okay, UCH is the equivalent of Luth. It is owned by the federal government. UCH, University College Hospital, that hosted the King of Saudi Arabia in the 60s. He came here for treatment in the 60s. Has been in the dark for 82 days. UCH has been in darkness for 82 days, and we have a government. 82 days. The premier. By the time you talk about Luth, you talk about maybe Abu, you talk about. By the time you mention 4 or 5 teaching hospitals in Nigeria, UCH must be about number 3 or number 4. If you don't want an argument, ideally it will be number 2, probably number 1. And in this country, that kind of hospital with patients, has been in darkness for 82 days. For 82 days. Nobody has declared a state of emergency there. The Minister of Health, we haven't heard him. I haven't heard him say anything. I wonder how you would have a Minister of Health who would superintend that sector with UCH being in darkness for 82 days. And it says that following his inability to meet the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company's monthly 80 million bill as a Band A customer. So much so for Band A, Band B. Because of them that they've been disconnected, and for 82, I didn't even know it was still on. I heard about it somewhere around December, and I thought it would just go for 1 or 2 days. I was surprised this morning when I discovered that it is in darkness. So the Punch calls on the federal government to please restore. That is the hope. In the southwest, that is where the hope lies. The other teaching hospital you have is the one in Ife. Okay? But everybody gravitates towards UCH if you have cancer and all these things. And even private persons have donated all kinds of things, cancer equipment, name it. Yet, it's been in darkness for it. This almost makes me weep. Because you know the number of people who have been dead because of this exercise, because of this, and we sit back and we have a government that does nothing. Can't the government, all these palliatives, can't you install solar systems in some of these hospitals where poor people go? Is it all of us that have enough money to go abroad or go to the very expensive private hospitals? When we tell Nigerians that, look, the politicians only think of themselves, they don't get it. They don't get it. Which government would own a hospital like UCH and keep it in darkness for 82 days?
Almost 3 months.
Almost 3 months. Almost 3 months. The point says that the president should stop this mercantile approach to social services and review his renewed hope agenda, which promises to revamp the health sector. The government could have stepped in, for example, to negotiate with the electricity company to say that, okay, the UCH is owing this. In the interim, take this. Keep the place running. But they bound them to the Philistines. The government could have stepped and said, okay, look, the management, sit down. We'll give you this, take this amount. Over time, we'll try and find a way around it. And in the interim, quickly make provisions for some solar system or whatever that will keep that kind of place running and replicate it in all the teaching hospitals. It's not too much to ask for. I have a case of somebody now who has breast cancer. We're all running helter-skelter. We are running helter-skelter. Because one has a little influence here and there, help is coming in trickles. What is wrong with us? We have all what we need to make our country great. How does it sound outside? In the 60s, the king of Saudi Arabia came here for treatment. And the point argues that Britain and Cuba have proved that effective health service is not much about money, but about strategy and political will. The National Health Service in Britain is funded by a portion of the taxes. Of course, most of our elites here, they go, when they fall ill, they go partake of the NHS in the UK, leaving their own country in a complete mess. You know, Cuba's GDP is far lower than Nigerians, yet it has the best health service in the world, according to WHO. The government must learn from these time-setted initiatives. Finally, the point says that, and I agree with them, the government must restore electricity to UCH. The chief medical director, Jesse Otegbayo, said about 661 clinical workers resigned from their roles from 2020 to 2022 in search of greener pastures abroad. How will I be a specialist? And maybe I'm a gynecologist or pediatrician or whatever. And the place is in darkness for 3 months. What job am I doing? What job am I doing? Sheriff, I don't know. I thank God for giving me the chance to not really express the way I feel about this. It brings some realities to the fore of the kind of country you are living in and who you are and what you will get. Can you imagine St. Mary's in Croydon or any of those major hospitals being in darkness for 82 days? Can the State House hospital be in darkness for 82 days?
Let's go take our next story, page 19 of the Punch. By the way, if you're just tuning in, you're welcome. You can also watch on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can watch on Facebook and on YouTube. Let's take this story here. Telecom's tariff hike. Subscribers meet NCC today as Labour mobilizes for showdown.
Yeah, sorry about that. I lost a bit of my temper there. Okay, so the latest that is happening now is that there is this National Association of Telecom Subscribers. I didn't know they had an association. So every subscriber, it must be a member by implication. Anyway, they go to engage the Nigerian Communications Commission on Friday, and they're seeking a possible reversal of the 50% telecoms tariff, which is legitimate. You sit down and negotiate. The telecoms will present their issues to you, to the subscribers, by implication, we are subscribers. And hopefully they'll be able to reach a middle ground without the huffing and puffing of the Nigerian Labour Congress. This issue of tariffs is not something anybody is going to huff and puff about. It's simple economics. And solving it will not be putting the muscle on telecoms companies, rather creating a better environment to do business. Simple. I've said yesterday, telecoms companies like you and I, like all of us, they're doing business to make profit. And when we talk about profit, people think that profit means the money that you cut away every time. No, you keep plowing it back in the business to expand it. And the cost of doing business in Nigeria is almost 5 times the cost of doing business in a development country. In a developed country, Sarah, in a developed country. This UCA thing is very strong over my mind. That's why I keep slipping in and out. In any case, we are going to make some form of sacrifice. On Tuesday, at 9 o'clock, we are bringing the managing director of MTN, who will come and present his case to the public. So you don't want to miss on Tuesday. You'll be able to listen to the rationale behind it and also ask some pertinent questions. Sheriff, is it possible to get an extra hour or something? Mm-hmm. Is it? I have to ask in a very humble this and that, because of the question and answers from the public. Will it be possible to get an extra hour on that Tuesday? I'm just asking. It's an innocent question.
We'll talk about that after the show.
So it's 50-50.
We'll talk about it.
I want to argue. I don't want to talk about it. But Mr. Toriola has agreed to a request to be here on Tuesday, and MTN are they're the biggest of them all. So I'm sure he'll be able to present some facts and figures that will help you realize what exactly is going on. The NANS has also given an ultimatum that they reject the tariff. They consider it inconsiderate and unjustifiable. And the NANS have warned that the move, that's the increment, would worsen the economic hardship faced by Nigerians, particularly students. What I think the negotiations should be is to find way by which packages and whatever can be designed to make it less stressful on the individual. But to think that there won't be any increase is not something you should contemplate unless you want them to close down. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's be realistic. Let's be adults. Remove the sentiment out of what we're saying. The akara and whatever and the buns puff you bought at the bus stop this time last year is not the same price this year. The transportation is not the same time this year. And so overheads have gone up, electricity, name it. And for you to understand the dire situation that our country is in, for you to get a feel of what is really happening and not faff around and deny yourself the truth, it is exhibited in the fact that you have a teaching hospital that has been in darkness for 82 days. That in itself can almost bring a state of emergency to a country. It's almost a total breakdown. So let's be honest with ourselves. The labor, everybody, let's be honest with ourselves. These increments will happen, and not just in telecoms. By the way, of course, all of you who go to Yataju drinking 2-3 bottles a day have reduced it to 1. Some have moved from the green bottle to Shekpe and all of that things. That even that one, the price I know of Shekpe has gone up. Don't ask me.
You know it.
I know to look. He said.
How do you know it?
I'm a journalist. Sheriff, I'm sorry I'm being persistent, Our people do not know the mess they are in. They're still taken away by all these fine sounding things. We are going to relieve poverty in 2 million homes. All the palliatives that have been in place since the commencement of this government, since that day of the subsidy is over. Whose life has been better? Whose life has been better? So it's time we look at ourselves in the eye and do something concrete. Or else, only God knows where we are headed. Sheriff, whether you like it or not, if a hospital like UCH can be closed, can be without light for 82 days, well, at low, you can't afford to be sick. So let everybody manage himself.
Do you know how many people?
Don't go there. Don't go there. I've been going to Lasruth in recent times. You feel sorry for the workers there. First of all, you even feel sorry for the patients who have to buy almost everything, from injection needles to drugs, name it. So what does this country do for you? And yet we keep talking about taxes, new taxes, and tax that, and tax that, tax that. What does your country do for you? What does subsidy? Every country subsidizes something for its own people. It's a given. In Nigeria now, you have your own. Hey, Algeria.
Yes, let's go to the Vanguard. If we have enough time, we'll come back to the Punch. Let's go pick the Vanguard. Lagos announces 8.784 million naira Hajj fare. Fixes January 31 as payment deadline.
January 31 is next week.
Yes.
Well, this is straight announcement for our Muslim brothers and sisters. If you want to go to Hajj this year from the Lagos end, you need, let us just approximate it to 9 million. Now, we are going to be on the lookout to make sure that our government does not spend 1 kobo on any individual to go for Hajj. Because it means that every individual that the government is sending for Hajj, which we hope will not happen, will be spending something close to 15 million. 15, 20, maybe. Which could be put to, because Hajj, honestly is a personal obligation. And it's conditional in Islam. It is said, if you can afford it. If you go to Hajj on government money, there is no blessing. Because it's the money the other people would have used to eat and be better for themselves that you have used personally to go to Hajj. So instead of going on pilgrimage, you have gone on summer. It is conditional. It says if you can afford it.
That's right.
It didn't tell you to go, because if you use the money that could have provided schools and whatever, that means it is stolen money. By implication, Kosila Dambe. In fact, you have heaped a bigger sin on yourself. I heard that some people now, there's a list making the rounds, and some people want to go to Jerusalem. Some people want to go to... We indulge in this deceit. And I wish those who had died will be able to come back and tell us the story that when they were faced with these allegations when they got to heaven, this was the explanation they gave. For every kobo of public money you spend going to Mecca, going to Jerusalem, you are committing a sin. If your pastors and imams have not told you, no now. It is conditional. It says if you can afford it. So, but the announcement is if you want to go, you need 8.7 whatever. I think you should just have 9 million in your pocket.
This probably is even subsidized.
You think so?
Probably. Probably.
Okay.
Because
Do we have time?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Lagos are required to pay 8.7. Adamawa are expected to pay 8.3, while the intending pilgrims from the northern zone should pay 8.4. Remember, the northern area is closer to, so before we get, but God has already said, Allah has said that if you can afford it.
Let's take one more story, shall we? Still in the Vanguard, page 4. Adegoke murder. A appeal Court upholds Adedoyin's death sentence.
Well, this is just by announcement, really. He was sentenced to death. He went to the appeal court. The appeal court has upheld the murder. Somebody killed somebody. He's one lecturer who stayed in his hotel in Ile-Ife. And that is good. So he might end up in the Supreme Court. And just for you to know. Also, an explanation has been given. The Alaafin designate has not started the traditional rites. The story said yesterday he had started the traditional rites and took a break. No, he hasn't started. When he comes back, he's going to seclusion, Ikpebi, and will do all the rites expected. So it will be a while before he's finally installed as the Alaafin of Oyo. I like his voice, though. Very deep.
Okay, I think we can do this for car lovers.
For car lovers, yes. There's a new Hilux coming into town. So all you elites, if you need a new Hilux to put... Do you know that I saw a photograph of Hilda Bassi, yes, coming down for a vehicle. She also has police escort, armed. I saw the photograph. Good luck in Nigeria. Anyway, there's a new Hilux. There's a car called Huawei. How do they spell it now? Huawei. It's almost looking like a Rolls Royce. It's called the Maxtro S800, and it's an electric car. You go to the Vanguard, you see that. The French car makers also have brought out a car that looks a bit like a Rolls Royce or the Maybach. And what is the car called? It's called the DS number 8. And for those of you who are bikers, they have the Sowo. It's Sowo S2000 bike. I remember back in the days, I with blessed memory, I remember the likes of Mono Ogbe. And I also remember Tude Odoye, he's a big lawyer now, how they rode those big bikes way back in school. And my good friend Momo, I remember all of them. But if you're a biker, there are some nice looking bikes here. And this one is a luxury bike. I better pass this on to my good friend, the Bishop Ekun in Abeokuta. At almost 70, he's still a biker.
Oh.
He's still a biker.
All right, Lagos, that's our show this morning. You're back at 9, though.
Yes, I have a 16-year-old who runs a cake company.
Oh,
so
yes,
I have a piece of cake for you, my cake.
Oh, really nice. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
You should be the one giving me a cake, but what the hell?
Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
But tell the people to pray for this country.
Yeah.
Honestly, pray for this country.
I'll tell you what someone told me. I had gone to my MD's office the other day just to have a chat, and she told me something that really, really resonated. It's not something that I can, share on the radio.
You don't want that to and let's switch off and let's go and come.
Let's just go.
Those who know me can call me. I'll tell them.
We are not talking again. Lagos, that's our show. Good morning to you.
This is The Voice Note on
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.